Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to join my colleague from Washington, Senator Murray, on the observance of this very solemn milestone. This Sunday will be 1 year since this catastrophic event. I want to thank Senator Murray for something she didn't mention, which is her leadership on helping us get past the Green Mountain Lookout legislation in the aftermath of this event, which is legislation that she had championed for a long time and yet had been stuck. And when people realized there were things we could do for this community to help restore its recreational and economic activity, she got on and we were able to pass that very quickly. So thank you for that leadership. So as we said, this Sunday is a very solemn milestone because 43 Washingtonians lost their lives in a very destructive mudslide that buried the highway between the communities of Darrington and Oso and nearby Arlington. And these communities lost loved ones and friends, and their memory will be with us for a long time. Mr. President, these communities have shown that even in the most unimaginable devastation, that people can come together in unity and persevere. They showed how light and hope can shine through even in grief. And now, after many, many months, stores are reopening, the highway is again bustling, there are new connections of internet and phone lines being restored, residents are rebuilding, and they are hoping for a brighter economic future. As my colleague said, we were very inspired by the hope and grace of this community that continues to demonstrate that on a daily basis. It's really hard to believe that a year has gone by. On that morning, it became just like every other morning, a rainy Saturday morning, and people went about their business. But as the heavy rain weakened one of the hills in the Stillaguamish Valley, the resulting landslide was approximately 1 square mile. 49 homes were destroyed, 530 was covered, and the Stillaguamish River was basically rerouted. So many, many problems arose, but immediately, more than 1,000 volunteers descended, many from just the local community, with their own transportation systems, their own rigs, came to the area and devoted thousands of hours to try to help survivors and to help the community recover. This American flag was hoisted by one of the firefighters and was tacked to a standing nearby tree just to show our resilience. Much like the American flag, this community was battered and bruised, but was very proud. And during those days, many Washingtonians would make sure that every resource was made available to this community. When faced with these immense challenges, these communities of Darrington and Oso pulled together, and yes, Oso became Oso strong. It was a rallying cry to the volunteers, to the young people, to many people who were working many, many hours a day. Private companies and individuals, corporations, tribes, charities, nonprofits, all sorts of governments chipped in, everybody helped, and we want to thank them for that help. It was just a year ago that it seemed like every resource covered the festival grounds and the Forest Service parking lot, FEMA, the Snohomish County Department of Natural Resources, the National Guard, fire departments up and down the state, and they continue to make sure everything was addressed. With recovery efforts underway, local people gathered, like the small business owner there in Darrington, Kevin Ash, and tried to keep a plan for every business to stay open. We looked at what could be accomplished for the future, and out of those meetings we were able to secure a $150,000 grant for Economic Development Administration to draft an economic disaster recovery plan for the community. That plan is set to be unveiled in June and help revive the local economy that once and longly has been dependent on logging that was so hit hard by this disaster. I and Senator Murray have worked with Mayor Dan Rankin from Darrington, whose leadership and on-the-job focus for this has really helped the community continue to survive this incredible disaster. And there are so many strategies that Mayor Dan has put into place that is about how the community moves forward. Over the past year, the Small Business Administration awarded $400,000 in low-interest loans to help rehabilitate businesses in the area, and it is helping the Darrington and Arlington economy and others in the affected area And through their innovation and hard work, everybody is trying to help what is called the Upper Stillaguamish Valley not just get back to where it was, but flourish in the future. So this is some of the most beautiful territory in our state, from the heights of Glacier Peak to the depths of the Upper Stillaguamish Valley. This typifies the beauty of the Northwest. So I want to just make sure we thank the appropriate people who helped us in this response. President Obama, who visited the area, Homeland Secretary Jay Johnson, FEMA Director Craig Fugate, obviously our governor, Representative Susan DelBene, who was there practically every moment of this disaster, from the moment it happened for days and days and days, and then around the clock, shuttling back and forth between Washington, D.C. and the site. Congressman Larson, obviously SBA Administrator Maria Contreras-Sweet, who came to the site, the Red Cross, the Oso Fire Station. And, you know, we talk about first responders here, but when you see first responders for small communities step up and address such an incredible natural disaster and coordinate everything. So I want to say a thanks to Willie Harper from the Oso Fire Station and Travis Hotz, who was the incident command leader for the first several days from Snohomish County Fire District, which just brought all the resources together to try to make this incredible disaster, the planning and recovery efforts, go as smoothly as possible. Executive John Lovick and Sheriff Ty Trinary, and I also want to say the Arlington Mayor, Barbara Tolbert, did more for the community in using every resource she had to help support the recovery of these Washington residents. Some communities might say, well, that's somewhere down the road, and who's going to help us? But she put every Arlington resource onto this site, knowing that it might be months and months and months before she ever saw any of the resources to reimburse them. So we want to thank Arlington for everything that they did. So while we will this weekend be having a moment of silence on the site, we have to remember the individuals we lost and how we need to move ahead. This hillside bears an unmistakable scar, and it has inflicted deep wounds. But the healing, because of the friends and neighbors, has strengthened us in this region. We want to make sure that those we lost, that their memories will fuel our determination to do better. Regardless, it's not going to be easy, it's not going to be quick, but we will continue to build off of the strength this community demonstrated in the aftermath of this disaster. I thank the President. I yield the floor.